The Book of the Secrets of Enoch. This new fragment of early literature came to light through certain manuscripts which were recently found in Russia and Serbia, and so far as yet known has been preserved only in Slavonic. Little is known about its origin except that its present form. It is written somewhere about the beginning of the Christian era. Its final editor was a Greek, and the place of its composition, Egypt. Its value lies in the unquestioned influence which it has exerted on the writers of the New Testament, some of the dark passages of the latter being all but inexplicable without its aid. Although the very knowledge that such a book ever existed was lost for probably 1,200 years, it nevertheless was much used by both Christian and heretic in the early centuries, and forms the most valuable document in the study of the forms of early Christianity. The writing appeals to the reader who thrills to lend wings to his thoughts and fly to mystical realms. Here is a strange dramatization of eternity, with views of creation, anthropology, and ethics. As the world was made in 6 days, so its history would be accomplished in 6,000 years, or 6 million years, and this would be followed by 1,000 years of rest, possibly when the balance of conflicting moral forces has been struck and human life has reached the ideal state. And its close would begin the 8th eternal day, when the time should be no more. Of the taking of Enoch unto the 6th heaven. And thence these men took me and bore me up to the 6th heaven. And there I saw 7 bands of angels, very bright and very glorious, and their faces shining more than the sun shining, glistening, and there is no difference in their faces or behavior or manner of dress. And these makes the orders and learns the goings of the stars, and the alteration of the moon, or revolution of the sun, and the good government of the world. And when they see evil doing, they make commandments and instructions, and sweet and loud singing, and all songs of praise. These are the archangels who are above angels, measure all life in earth and on heaven, and the angels who are appointed over seasons and years, the angels who are over rivers and sea, and who are over the fruits of the earth, and the angels who are over every grass, giving food to all, to every living thing. And the angels who write all the souls of men and all their deeds, and their lives before the Lord's face. In their midst are 6 phoenixes, and 6 cherubim, and 6 six-winged ones, continually with one voice singing, one voice. And it is not possible to describe their singing, and they rejoice before the Lord at his footstead. Chapter 20. Hence they took Enoch into the 7th heaven. And those 2 men lifted me up thence unto the 7th heaven. And I saw there a very great light, and fiery troops of great archangels, incorporeal forces and dominions, orders and governments, cherubim and seraphim, thrones and many-eyed ones, 9 regiments, the Ionid stations of light. And I became afraid and began to tremble with great terror. And these men took me and led me after them and said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear. And showed me the Lord from afar, sitting on his very high throne. For what is there on the 10th heaven, since the Lord dwells there? On the 10th heaven is God. In the Hebrew tongue he is called Aravat. And all the heavenly troops would come and stand on the 10 steps according to their rank, and would bow down to the Lord, and would again go to their places in joy and felicity, singing songs in the boundless light with small and tender voices, gloriously serving him. Chapter 21. Of how the angels here left Enoch at the end of the 7th heaven, and went away from him unseen. And the cherubim and seraphim standing about the throne, the 6-winged and the many-eyed ones do not depart, standing before the Lord's face doing his will, and covered his whole throne, singing with gentle voice before the Lord's face, Holy, 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 Lord ruler of Sabbath, heavens and earth are full of thy glory. When I saw all these things, these men said to me, Enoch, thus far it is commanded us to journey with thee, And those men went away from me, and thereupon I saw them not. And I remained alone at the end of the seventh heaven, and became afraid, and fell on my face, and said to myself, Woe is me, what has befallen me? And the Lord sent one of his glorious ones, the archangel Gabriel, and he said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear. Arise before the Lord's face into eternity. Arise, come with me. And I answered him and said in myself, My Lord, my soul is departed from me, my terror and trembling. And I called to the men who led me up to this place. Of them I relied, and it is with them I go before the Lord's face. And Gabriel caught me up as a leaf caught up in the wind, and placed me before the Lord's face. And I saw the eighth heaven, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Muzaloth, changer of the seasons, of drought and of wet, and of the 12 signs of the zodiac, which are above the seventh heaven. And I saw the ninth heaven, which is called in Hebrew Kuchavim, which are the heavenly homes of the 12 signs of the zodiac. Chapter 22. In the 10th heaven the archangel Michael led Enoch before the Lord's face. On the 10th heaven, Aravath, I saw the appearance of the Lord's face, like iron made to glow in fire, and brought out emitting sparks, and it burns. Thus I saw the Lord's face, but the Lord's face is ineffable, marvelous, and very awful, and very, very terrible. And who am I to tell of the Lord's unspeakable being, and of his very wonderful face? And I cannot tell the quantity of the many instructions and various voices, the Lord's throne very great and not made with hands, nor the quantity of those standing around him, troops of cherubim and seraphim, nor their incessant singing, nor his immutable beauty, and who shall tell of the ineffable greatness of his glory? And I fell prone and bowed down to the Lord, and the Lord with his lips said to me, Have courage, Enoch, do not fear. Arise and stand before my face into eternity. And the archistrategy Michael lifted me up and led me before the Lord's face. And the Lord said to his servant tempting them, Let Enoch stand before my face into eternity. And the glorious ones bowed down to the Lord and said, Let Enoch go according to thy word. And the Lord said to Michael, Go and take Enoch from out his earthly garments, and anoint him with my sweet ointment, and put him into the garments of my glory. And Michael did thus, as the Lord told him. He anointed me and dressed me, and the appearance of that ointment is more than the great light, and his ointment is like sweet dew, and its smell mild, shining like the sun's ray. And I looked at myself and was like one of the glorious ones. And the Lord summoned one of his archangels by name PRAVUIL, whose knowledge was quicker in wisdom than the other archangels, who wrote all the deeds of the Lord. And the Lord said to PRAVUIL, Bring out the books from my storehouse, and a reed of quick writing, and give it to Enoch, and deliver to him the choice and comforting books out of the hand. Chapter 23. Of Enoch's writings, how he wrote his wonderful journeys and his heavenly apparitions, and himself wrote 360 books. And he was telling me all the works of heaven, earth, and sea, and all the elements, their passages and going, and the thundering of the thunders and the sun and the moon, the going and the change of the stars, the seasons, years, days, and hours, the rising of the wind, the numbers of the angels, and the formation of their song, and all human things, the tongue of every human song and life, the commandments, instructions, and sweet voice singing, and all things that is fitting to learn. And PRAVUIL told me, All the things that I have told thee we have written. Sit and write all the souls of mankind, however many of them are born, in the places prepared for them to eternity. For all souls are prepared to eternity before the formation of the world. And all double 30 days and 30 nights, and I wrote out all these things exactly, and wrote 366 books. Chapter 24. Of the great secrets of God which God revealed, and told to Enoch, and spoke with him face to face. And the Lord summoned me, and said to me, Enoch, sit down on my left with Gabriel. And I bowed down to the Lord, and the Lord spoke to me, Enoch, beloved, all thou seest all things that are standing finished, I tell to thee, even before the very beginning, all that I created from non-being, invisible things from invisible. Hear, Enoch, and take in these words, for not to my angels have I told my secret, and I have not told them their rise, nor my endless realm, nor have they understood my creating which I tell to thee today. For before all things were visible, I alone used to go about in the invisible things, like the sun from east to west and from west to east. But even the sun has peace in itself, while I found no peace because I was creating all things, and I conceived the thoughts of placing foundations and of creating visible creation. Chapter 25. God relates to Enoch how out of the very lowest darkness comes down the visible and invisible. I commanded in the very lowest parts that visible things should come down from invisible. And a doyle came down very great, and I beheld him, and lo, he had the belly of a great light. And I said to him, Come undone, a doyle, and let the visible come out of thee. And he came undone, and a great light came out. And I was in the midst of the great light. And as there is born light from light, there came forth a great age, and showed all creation which I had thought to create. And I saw that it was good, and I placed for myself a throne, and took my seat on it, and said to the light, Go thou up higher, and fix thyself high above the throne, and be a foundation to the highest things. And above the light there is nothing else. And then I bent up and looked up from my throne.